Hi there, my name is Colin, and I go by Odd Viking on a lot of the forums and other places, TK25622. I wanted to talk about something that's really important to me that I keep seeing come up, and I thought it's never explicitly said, and I want to be the one to say it. I once in a while go through like general cosplay forums, and you see a post by somebody who's a costumer and they love Star Wars, and at some point they had some really negative interaction with someone from the Legion, usually kind of talking about their costume or being kind of snobbish in some way or elitist in some way. And the one thing I often see is they'll post that thing and say, I'm done with the Legions, I don't know who they think they are, something like that. You know, they're really fed up with that experience with somebody that they clearly at least thought highly of originally. Like they thought that that was something they might want to be, but once they had this interaction, it's done. You've kind of lost that potential member. Probably somebody who was just going to grow into this amazing costumer, and we lost out. So it will often be followed by a ton of responses. Some of them like, I agree, here's what happened to me. A bunch of other ones from either Legion members or, you know, really good Legion members or people that are friends of Legion members or really didn't have that experience. And they'll be apologizing for us and say like, I see this one phrase a lot. I'm going to pop on an image here. Oh, it's just a few bad apples, a couple bad apples, you know, one bad apple here and there. They say it all the time, but that phrase is really a perfect phrase because the full phrase is a few bad apples will spoil the barrel. That means that if you leave those spoiled apples in the barrel, they're going to fester and soon all the apples will be rotten. That's what happens when we let it happen to our group. If you're at a table at a convention or an event or something like that, and you hear a fellow Legion member next to you talk to some prospective cosplayers coming up in some, you know, homemade armor or something they sewed themselves that just isn't quite right, or they bought an off-the-shelf, you know, Jedi cape, and someone's flippant about that, and you let it go, they're gonna think all of us are that way. If you see some, you know, beginning armorers do clone armor and there's print lines everywhere and they haven't filled them out, if you hear someone say like, that'll never get approved, and that's it, and they just leave it there, that person's gonna think all of these people in the 501st Legion are like that. Now, I feel that our garrison is fairly open and warm and welcome, but I know that there have been people in the past, because I've heard about it before I ever joined, that there were some people who had that sort of behavior. So what I would challenge you is to call it out. I want to build a culture where we don't let each other do that. And if you hear someone do that, be the next person that fan interacts with and say like, I think it's really good. I mean, you've got a lot of stuff. Like, what's your favorite thing about that character? I love being the character. And get them to talk about the positive parts. Don't say your costume isn't going to make it into our group. They may not have even asked. They may have come up and say like, I like Star Wars. These people like Star Wars. Let's look at their table. And someone says, you'll never get in here with that. And what did that give them? They weren't even asking. Often it's an unsolicited comment or some kind of snobby something that they feel coming from this group of people who take their costumes very high. I have that instinct. I have that impulse. I feel it. I understand it. You just want to say like, I put all this work in. This person did not put all that work in. Like, I feel like I've done a better job than them. And you want to say something, but it doesn't help. It doesn't help anything. It makes that person see us as something they cannot attain, or even if they did, I don't want to be like those people. So be the next person who comes in and says like, that's a really great costume. I love it. Like, I've always loved that character, or my first costume was a TIE pilot. That's right on, man. That's great. If they ask you, how do I get my helmet to look like yours? Then you can tell them, oh, you have to do a lot of finish work to get rid of the print lines. Or this is a vacuum form kit, not a 3D print, just like the originals, they were vacuum formed. Or you can say, I got my gloves from this place. Or, I made my first undersuit, but then I went and got another one, or I had a friend sew it, or there's this great pattern. If you're on this one forum, you can find it there, or here's my email address, and or my Instagram, message me and I can help you find it if you're looking for it, but only if they ask. Don't force that onto somebody who's just a casual weekend fan and they're just gonna make a costume and spend about 8 hours on it and call it done. That's great. They love Star Wars. We love Star Wars. Let's lift them up, and then afterwards, out of sight from everybody else, or when there's a lull in the conversation, go to that person. If you heard them give that kind of comment that you know could be interpreted as elitism and possibly off-putting, you know, a lot of us are just like really geeky and nerdy about our stuff and don't even hear ourselves say it in that tone. If you hear it, say, hey, that could have been a prospective member and we don't want to drive people away. So do your best to, when you find a bad apple, don't just let it fester there. Don't just shrug. Take that apple out of the barrel and make sure it doesn't spoil the rest of us. Make sure our reputation is of one of like people who want to help elevate each other, and anyone who wants to join our group, we would love to help you do it. If you don't want to join our group, we would love to talk Star Wars with you, no matter who you are. So let's police ourselves, let's raise each other up, and let's give the public, you know, a really great experience when they interact with any of our members. All right, happy trooping.